As a historic Dhwajarohan takes place in Ayodhya, joining us for more on this and the significance of the moment is Dr. Ram Madhav, who's of course an author and senior RSS leader. Welcome, Dr. Ram Madhav, for joining us, and thank you for speaking to Times Now. Now, as far as Ram Mandir is concerned, Ram Mandir mission over. Now Ram Rajya begins. This is what you've said in recent times. Take us through what your views on Ram Rajya are, what do we expect, and how do we see India playing its role in the global order?
Today, Honorable Prime Minister spoke at length about the concept of Ram Rajya. He reiterated that, next 20 years, when the country strives to build Viksit Bharat, that will be actually on the principles of Ram Rajya, where there is no poverty, there is no backwardness, there is no suffering, and human dignity is upheld, every individual is respected, a kind of system where everyone enjoys happiness, that kind of a country, everyone enjoys respect, everyone enjoys honor, dignity, that kind of a society we have to build. That is ultimately what Ram Rajya always meant. Ram represented that kind of a rule, that kind of a kingdom. This flag that was hoisted a couple of hours ago represented that great value system, which, of course, in Tulsi Ramayana we hear this phrase, Raghukula Riti. The Raghukul is the Vamsha to which Bhagavan Ram belonged. So that value system where truth prevails, Satya prevails, Dharma prevails, Ananda prevails, happiness prevails, that kind of system is what we have to bring in. So that is where India's uniqueness will be in the world. India is rising as an important global power today. There is no doubt. I mean, that global power may be an economic global power in the sense that we will be third largest economy. Technologically, in deep tech areas are also we are making great advances. But at the end of the day, what will be that unique contribution of India to the world? If we ask that question for a great country like India, its great value system that it has inherited through millennia of its existence, is what we should be able to offer to the world. An alternative model of life, model of living, model of values. That is what we have to offer. That's why you remember, Prime Minister these days doesn't only talk about 20 years. He actually talked about next 1,000 years. I know that some people actually ridiculed that idea when he did it for the first time 2 years ago. But remember, India will be recognized in the world not only as, so-called superpower in economy and technology and all, but also a superpower on the basis of a new value-based world view, vision that it offers to the world.
Right. And also, the fact is that today's Dhwajarohan ceremony at the Ram Janmabhoomi temple also coincides with the Guru Tej Bahadur Jayanti, and he is also a symbol of sacrifice for dharma and religious freedom. How do you look at this coincidence?
Of course, the greatest sacrifice that Guru Tegh Bahadur had made 350 years ago for the sake of protecting the honor of his Dharma brothers, Hindus of his times, was one of the glorious epochs of the Sikh history of India and the Indian history, Indian civilization and cultural history. And it is such a happy coincidence that today, when this Ram temple, that construction is formally coming to a conclusion, that happened on the day of Guru Tegh Bahadur's martyrdom. It is such a wonderful coincidence.
Also the fact that, this moment has come after centuries of historical contestation and the construction of the temple now officially being marked in terms of its completion. Therefore, the flag hoisting is not just a symbol of completion, but of unwavering faith, struggle of devotees. Take us through the emotional and cultural journey that has led up to the completion of the Ram temple.
Look, this Ram temple movement or struggle for rebuilding Ram temple had close to 500 years of history. And through that history, we have seen kings waging battles for restoration of the glory of the temple, commoners fighting for it. There were legal battles. There were organized movements after independence led by, especially more essentially by Vishwa Hindu Parishad and other organizations from 1980 onwards. It had a long history through which the faith of the people, the question of the nation's self-respect, and also a number of sacrifices. All those things were integral to this movement. Today, that long saga of struggle, sacrifice, and fight for self-respect has come to a happy conclusion today. But remember, during that movement also, one of the very renowned saints of the movement, who was integral to Ram Janmabhoomi movement, was Swami Chinmayanandaji, who is no more now. He passed away a few months after the demolition of the Babri structure. But he used to always say that, you see, Ayodhya is Ayuddha, meaning non-war. This Ayodhya symbolizes peace. Ayodhya symbolizes happiness, symbolizes good kingdom, a place where there is no place for conflict, where there is place for peace. So he used to say, this whole Yuddha is for Ayodhya. I mean, this whole battle, this whole campaign, this struggle is for building a peaceful country, peaceful Bharat. So hereafter, once the temple is completed, we should not forget that core message that Ayodhya should represent peace. Ayodhya should represent harmony. Ayodhya should represent unity of the country, because after all, Bhagavan Ram is the greatest unifier of our country. The spirit from the great struggle should be seen in that light only.
Absolutely. And the temple complex itself is quite interesting because it features 87 intricately carved stone episodes from the life of Lord Ram based on Valmiki Ramayana. How long did it take the artisans to work with so much detail? Can you tell us about the Mandir itself, because it's been described as an architectural synthesis of ancient craftsmanship as well as modern engineering and the philosophy behind the design of the temple itself?
Of course, more details about it can be probably shared with you by those who were directly involved in the construction work. But I can tell you something which is very interesting. The work for construction of the temple did not begin after the judgment came in 2021. The work began 2 decades back, 2 decades ago, when it was almost decided that one day we would have this glorious day coming before us, we should be ready for it. So the entire carving of the pillars to carving of the marble stones that would be taking place at the foundation level to right up to the temple Krishna, all that work began almost 20 years ago. There is a place called Tarsevakpuram in Ayodhya. There, hundreds of karigars, hundreds of sculptors and others have been engaged in creating the blocks, separate blocks of the temple. In fact, that's the reason why this is one of those mighty temples which has come up in a record time. No, it's not easy to build a temple of this size in just 2 years,
Right.
But because there was a 20-year effort behind it, through which time the carving of the pillars, carving of the stones, carving of the ceiling, everything was happening. So this was a very old and very long drawn-out process through which every minute aspect of the temple has been very well planned long before. I remember right at the time when Ashok Singalji, the architect of this entire movement, was alive. Right from his time, this whole planning had happened, and preparations have also taken place over the last 2 decades.
Right. And of course, as you all know, this is a very hotly contested political issue in India as well, and therefore not surprising that there are political statements coming in. Samajwadi Party leader Jitendra Dore has questioned PM hoisting the flag at the Ayodhya Ram Mandir, and he's saying, and I'm quoting, "This is the first time I've heard that the Prime Minister of a country who will visit a temple and hoist the flag." And he also says that the Prime Minister is promoting BJP, not hoisting the flag, saying that everyone has faith in temples, but the task of hoisting religious flags in temples is done by the Shankaracharyas, saints and others present there. What are your views on this?
The Prime Minister is the Prime Minister of the entire country, first of all. So it's no reason to continue with that old rhetoric that is BJP promoting BJP, etc. Nobody really believes in these kind of criticisms. He should be seen as the Prime Minister of the whole country. And it is not unusual that leaders of that stature, for example, when Somnath temple was reconstructed, its consecration ceremony was conducted by Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who was the President of India at that time. So it was not unusual that such very important national symbols. See here, Ram Temple, of course, is a very sacred temple. It's also a symbol of nation's self-respect, honor, its determination to shed all its colonial hangover. Such historic structures have had the past history of prominent individuals like prime ministers, presidents coming and doing Dhwajarohan and consecration of temples and all that. It's not at all unusual. Of course, saints and sages always play a very important role in every aspect of Hindu dharma. Their place cannot be denied, but that doesn't mean nobody else does it or nobody else can do it. There is no such bar in Hindu dharma shastras.
Right. Last year I also want to draw attention to what Rahul Gandhi had said. He had, for instance, come out to say that, it is a mythological tale and that Lord Ram's a mythological figure, for which, of course, there were a lot of sharp reactions. So how do you react to people who call Ramayana a mythological tale, Lord Ram a mythological figure?
I would say he borrowed a surname, that is Gandhi. He should read Gandhi. For Gandhi, Ram was his personal deity. Mahatma Gandhi, when I say I'm talking about Mahatma Gandhi never bothered about historicity of or otherwise of Ram. He always believed that Ram represented the greatest value system of our country. That is why he was the revered personal deity of Mahatma Gandhi. So, if you don't believe in historicity of Ram, fair enough, but believe that, he is the representative of great value system of this country. To that extent, at least for borrowing that surname, Rahul Gandhi should have that much respect towards Ram and Ram's, message and Ram's personality.
Right. It's not just for India, because there are several nations globally which have large Hindu diaspora communities. How do you think they will be interpreting this event? Do you expect it to influence India's cultural diplomacy and global soft power as well?
Okay, I'm not a big supporter of this whole concept of soft power and all that, but I would say, yes, globally, Ram is, of course, revered by millions of Hindus who live outside of India, but beyond that also, Ram is always seen as a great symbol of India's civilizational value system by many others. I mean, Ramayana, as you all know, is a very famous art form in many countries in Southeast Asia.
Correct.
Remember, they are not necessarily Hindus who are there in those countries. They are Buddhists, they are people of other faiths. But Ramayana is seen as an important historical story or narrative that promotes certain important value system that links them to, of course, India's cultural and civilizational history also. In that sense, Ramayana remains a very important heritage of India that connects our country, our history and our civilization with a large part of the global population. In that sense, if we want to technically use that word soft power, we can always use it. Power cannot be soft, and what is soft cannot be power.
Interesting.
That's
a very interesting way of putting it. But let me also draw your attention to a statement that has come in a few days ago from a Trinamool Congress legislator, Humayun Kabir, and he sparked controversy after announcing that a foundation stone for a Babri Masjid would be laid in West Bengal's Murshidabad district on the 6th of December. And this date is very symbolic because it's the 33rd anniversary of the demolition of the original Babri Masjid. Do you view such statements coming in primarily as a political maneuver ahead of course, assembly polls that are due in West Bengal, or is there a larger ideological impetus over here?
Look, I don't think we should nationally be taking such statements very seriously and all that. There are always such elements in our country which always wanted the Babar heritage, the kind of heritage that Babar represented, the very oppressive occupational kind of heritage that Babar represented. Babar represents colonialism. Babar represents occupation of Indian lands, oppression of Indian religion. He represented the destruction of temples. there will be some vociferous elements that will be probably trying to promote that kind of a sentiment once again through such statements. Don't give too much importance to it. I think that even the wider Muslim society should come forward and reject anything to do with Babar. If you want to build another mosque, if you have a land, if you have permission, please go ahead. India is a free country. India allows for respect for all religions. That includes respect for religious structures, mosques and all that. But if it is a Babri mosque, it cannot be supported by anybody. Forget about Hindus, even Muslim society should come forward and say that no such kind of effort should be encouraged.
Right. And last word, Mr. Ram Madhav, for younger Indians who've perhaps not lived through earlier phases of the movement, what lessons about identity, continuity, as well as civilizational confidence does this temple completion convey?
So today, thankfully, through this Ram Mandir's reconstruction and this glorious construction of a new temple, we have been able to connect our entire country, 1.4 billion Indians, to that glorious civilizational cultural heritage of our country. You are right, the millennials of our country who were born maybe around early 2000s and all that, they were not aware of the struggles behind this temple and all that. Maybe they will slowly get to know about the struggles, the agitations that preceded this whole temple construction. But more importantly, through this glorious reconstruction of Ram Temple, we are able to connect them with our great history, the great men of our history like Bhagwan Ram, and the value system that they represented. If you probably heard carefully Prime Minister's speech today, his greater emphasis was about the idea of building an ideal country, ideal society, the society that what we call as Ram Rajya. His emphasis was on that. We have to build a very just society, a peaceful society, a harmonious society, and a prosperous society. That value system is what younger generation millennials need today, at a time when you are living in a very, very difficult kind of world order, which is collapsing. Some people call it world disorder. We are living in a very disorder kind of situation in the world. What India should represent before the world is a very orderly, peaceful country. That is the core message that the millennials, the younger generation, should get out of this whole campaign for building of the Ram Temple.
All right, Mr. Ram Madhav, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to us here at Times Now.
Thank you, my pleasure.